Welcome, everyone. Before we get started on committee tonight, we have a special guest. We have Executive Eileen Shapiro, and the council will present a joint commendation on the retirement of Donna Skota. Donna, if you please join us at the podium. Come on, read it. Who we got? You want me to read it, or do you want me to read it? Oh, yes. Okay.
You're going to read that whole
We
thing?
have some more.
Yes, you have to.
Some of the council would like to join us.
Come on. Oh, please.
Whoever wants.
Good, thank you. Thank you. I'm old, thank you.
Hello.
I hope.
So now I don't know what to say.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready? We got everybody? Okay. Donna Skota. Whereas Donna Skota safeguarded the health and safety of Summit County residents for over 20 years in various roles at Summit County Public Health, most recently as Health Commissioner. This distinguished career deserves gratitude and praise. Whereas she began her career in Cuyahoga County as a registered licensed dietitian, implementing community-based nutrition and other important public health programming. She later joined the Summit County Public Health in 2001 as Director of Community Health Services. And whereas Donna's dedication, knowledge, and leadership led to her serving as Deputy and Assistant Health Commissioner before being named Health Commissioner in 2015. In these various leadership positions, Donna confronted serious emergencies including H1N1, influenza, Ebola, vaping, and the opioid epidemic, a solar eclipse, and the COVID-19 global pandemic. And whereas Donna's steady and confident leadership throughout these incidents, and especially during COVID-19 pandemic, set a high standard for all public officials to follow. At a time of great uncertainty, she and her team provided information and clarity at the local level. And whereas, in a matter of days, in 2020, Donna and her team mobilized plans to collect PPE and distribute it to healthcare providers. Later, they dispensed test kits and provided critical guidance about isolation and quarantine. When vaccines were available, they set up drive-through events to meet the great need. There is no doubt that the work Donna and her team made a difference in the health and safety of our residents. And whereas Donna was a steadfast partner to Summit County in many important endeavors during her time as Health Commissioner. Notably, she was an early and ardent supporter of the county's lawsuit against opioid manufacturers and distributors. Following the settlement, she helped the county establish the Opioid Abatement Advisory Council and dedicated public health staff to its mission of funding vital programming to reduce harm, prevent overdoses, and support treatment and recovery. Whereas Donna embodies the spirit of public service and the mission of improving the public's health, her legacy is certainly lasting, and we wish her all the best as she begins a new chapter in her life. Now therefore be it known by all and declared by the Council and the Executive Summit County, State of Ohio, that this Council and Executive recognize the commitment, advocacy, and leadership that Donna Skota has provided to this community on the local, state, and national levels, and recognize an outstanding career in public service, and wish Donna Skota and her family joy and good fortune in retirement. We urge all citizens to join in honoring her on this 25th day of November of the year 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to say, here, this is yours.
It's very nice. Thank you all. I have to say, though, public health always goes through a lot. And Greta's right, it probably is the worst job in the earth. But it's just, there's a lot going on, and it's a team. It truly is a team. COVID would have never happened if we didn't have a team of folks who didn't work their real jobs for 3 years, did everything else but their real jobs. But it's been an honor and a pleasure, and I can't believe 38 years have flown by. It seems pretty, from my early days in Cuyahoga County to down here, in Summit, it just seems like it's flown. And I'm really looking forward to the next chapter. Not sure what that is, but it'll be something, I'm sure. Okay. Okay, thank you, but I really appreciate this, and I appreciate your kindness
Thank
for
you.
all of council, as well as Eileen. Thank you.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect.
Thanks. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rita.
Enjoy your retirement. I have something for you.
Okay, again, thank you very much, Donna, for your service, and wish you well in your retirement. We'll go ahead and open the Personnel Committee at 4:35 this evening. The first item on the agenda is 2024-304, a resolution establishing legal holidays for non-bargaining county employees for the calendar year of 2025 for the Executive's Department of Human Resources and declaring an emergency. Mr. Klepper.
Good afternoon, Chip Klepper, Interim Director of Executive Shapiro's Department of Human Resources. This is just routine legislation approving the holidays for next year.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? I have a motion from Councilman Schmidt. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. And next on our agenda is 2024-305, a resolution pursuant to Section 169.04H of the Codified Ordinances of the County of Summit as set forth in Exhibit A, approving and adopting the report on staffing for calendar year 2025 for the Executive declaring an emergency.
Chip Klepper, Interim Director of Executive Shapiro's Department of Human Resources. As you know, every year we come before you to present our report on staffing. This report is simply a position budget, if you will. It's not a person budget. It's not a funding monetary budget. It's just allowing certain positions to be used for the incoming year. So I just have a couple highlights for you. Let's see here. Most have remained flat with minimum changes, but some have increased and some have decreased. The Executive's Office has reduced their report by 3 spots. JFS has reduced by 21 spots, and that's mainly through attrition and not filling positions that have remained empty or vacant. The Sheriff is adding 10 positions. 3 are additional laundry workers, and 7 of the e-Sourn coordinators that you previously approved a couple council meetings ago. They're going to be reclassifying those jail population coordinators this year, or this coming year, so I imagine that the jail population number will reduce for 2026. Prosecutor, they have also increased about 10 positions, mainly adding additional prosecutors and some victim advocates. And I actually went back and looked at the prosecutor staffing report, and since 2015, they've changed here and there, but remained flat. They've only increased by 3 positions since 2015. So they were due for an overhaul of their evaluation of their staffing report. And then the other OIT is adding 2 additional positions. One will be a deputy director over project management. As you might or might not know, OID does a lot of projects, so they need somebody to manage that, plus a purchasing agent that would go along with that new division. And ultimately, we are reducing the entire staffing report by 2 positions.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any questions from committee? Any questions from council? Can I have a motion? I have a motion from Councilman Donofrio. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Chair. Personnel Committee will close at 4:39.
Public Works will come to order. We have several resolutions to consider this evening, the first of which is 2024-306, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with DLZ Ohio, Inc. for engineering design services for the rehabilitation or replacement of the Riverview Road Bridge over Yellow Creek, located in the city of Akron in Council District 5, in an amount not to exceed $188,635 for the engineer and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Heidi Swindell, Summit County Engineer's Office. This bridge is actually a stone arch culvert. It is about 200 years old. It qualifies for the National Historic Registry of Historic Places, and we need to put a lot of thought and careful study on how we are going to either rehabilitate or replace this bridge. So we have asked DLZ to help us do that. They will first do the study and then start with some preliminary design work for this. We sent out requested qualifications from 6 firms. 3 firms submitted, and DLZ was the highest scoring. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Mr. Wilhite?
Heidi, with a historical bridge like this, I know with historical structures, there are certain guidelines you have to follow, and you can't change certain things. Same with the bridge, or?
I don't think it's the same as a structure, because obviously if a bridge is not safe, it's not safe. It's, you got to replace it. But you do have to go through some extra steps just to make sure. Like we could shore it up underneath, but keep the original stone arch, that would be great. So we'll look at doing that. But if it's got to be replaced, it's got to be replaced. Yeah.
So,
Any other questions from members of the committee?
so Heidi, if it gets replaced, so, I mean, if you had to be like totally replaced, would that take, then it wouldn't be historic anymore, correct?
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, are there any other questions from members of the committee, members of council, the public? Mr. Donofrio, you want to move on that? Mr. Donofrio moved on 2024-306. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2024-307, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Morton Salt at Ohio Department of Transportation Cooperative Purchasing Pricing for road salt for the 2024 snow and ice control season, an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the engineer, declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, in the past couple of years, we have not had to encumber any of our 2024 salt yet until now. We finally ran out of our last encumbrance. We are clearly not going to spend the full 325, so we are asking to encumber 100,000. We get it from Morton. It's about $44 a ton, which is a really good price. It's cheaper than we paid in past years, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, members of the committee, members of council?
I have a question. Might be an odd question, but I know the Farmer's Almanac has predictions, and
Oh,
I've heard
yes.
it might be a mild winter. There's no way to know that, is there? We just kind
No.
of just
I
roll
mean,
the dice.
I know that our director of maintenance never buys into it. So that's it. But I send him the ABJ article about it every year because they always write up something, and he's always like, yeah, whatever.
And we had some salt left over.
Yeah, we are actually full. We anticipate using some of it, which is why we're encumbering before the end of the year. But yeah, we built some extra storage. We have greatly reduced our salt purchase, and you'll see in our budget presentation later. Since we increased the storage, we've reduced our annual purchase because we've got enough on hand to get us through a winter already.
Any other questions, members of council, the public? Ms. Dickinson, do you want to move on that one? Ms. Dickinson moved on 2024-307. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2024-308. A resolution authorizing the executive to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of a drainage easement over a portion of 2462 Myersville Road located in Springfield in an amount not to exceed $300 as a part of a Myersville Road culvert rehabilitation for the engineer and declaring an emergency. $300.
Yep, that is.
Do a double take. We never.
It is just a drainage easement. It's very small. We are doing a kind of a regional culvert replacement program in 2025. We've got 3 culverts that we need to get additional drainage easements for. $300 is actually the ODOT recommended minimum. It's probably worth less than that $300, but that's the floor. If we're going through the pain of making a property purchase, you're going to get $300. But yeah, we've talked with the property owner, they're perfectly fine with it. They've signed off on it, and so now we just need to come to council and have you approve it, since it's a property purchase.
Questions from members of the committee? Mr. Willhite?
Chairman, I have a question for Mr. Montgomery. If we pay this, what do we have to give up?
Your health care.
All right, any other questions, members of the committee, members of council, the public? Mr. Willhite, you want to move on that?
Yes, happy to.
Mr. Willhite moved on 2024-308. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Carries. Thank you, Heidi. 2024-309, a resolution certifying delinquent sewer service charges to the fiscal officer for the Executive Department of Sanitary Sewers and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Chair. Michael Vinay, Executive Shapiro's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services. If council remembers, we typically certify this annually in September. Obviously, we've had discussions about our transition to Tyler Software. We were previously at about 10 million in delinquencies a couple of months ago. We then extended that deadline. We are now at 2.9 million. We are still seeing some funds come in, so this number will change prior to next week. I spoke with Mr. Potter about that. But again, this is just an annual exercise we do for the certification. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Questions from members of the committee, members of council, the public? Mr. Donofrio, you want to move on that one? Yes. Mr. Donofrio moved on 2024-309. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2024-310, a resolution authorizing the executive to advertise for bids for the construction of Project Q183 Pump Station Number 6, replacement for an estimated total cost not to exceed $5,921,457, and to authorize the executive to apply for and execute a loan agreement with the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund for a loan in the amount not to exceed $7 million to fund the project located in the cities of Hudson and Stowe in Council District 3 for the Executive's Department of Sanitary Sewer Services and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is one of our larger pump stations. This was included in our capital improvement plan for the last few years. The difference between the actual not to exceed for the project and the $7 million in the loan fund amount is we are going to reimburse the operating fund for the design fees associated with this project, and there is a 10% contingency on the construction contract. There will be on the construction contract as well. So again, one of our larger pump stations in dire need of a rebuild, so this will be a long time coming and much needed. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Mike. Questions from members of the committee, members of council, public? Aaron Dickinson, you want to move on that one? Yes. Ms. Dickinson moved on 2024-310. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And last, 2024-311, a resolution authorizing the executive to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of drainage easements over a portion of 1164 and 1178 Shockalog Road located in Copley Township in Council District 5 and a total amount not to exceed $600 as part of the Shockalog Drainage Improvement Project for the engineer and declaring an emergency.
Mike's out here spending $7 million. I'm asking for $300 apiece for 2 drainage easements on this one. It's also going to be part of the 2025 culvert replacement program. We're just getting everything set up early so we can go out to bid as soon as possible next year.
Thanks, Heidi. Questions from members of the committee, members of council, public? Mr. Willhite, you want to move on that one?
Too rich for me.
Mr. Willhite moved on 2024-311. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thanks, Heidi. Is there any other business to come before the Public Works Committee? Then we're adjourned.
Planning and Economic Development will open at 4:49. We have one item tonight, 2024-312, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a grant agreement with the Development Finance Authority of Summit County for a grant in the amount of $125,000 for the calendar year 2024 for the Executive's Department of Community and Economic Development and declaring an emergency.
With us tonight is Mr. Chris Burnham, who's going to address this piece. I will say this, the funds for this come out of the county's electric aggregation program. We get a monthly allotment of, about $10,000. So every time it builds up to $125,000, we've done this. This is the third or fourth year, Chris. We then allocate this to Chris's revolving loan fund. And Chris, if you want to give an update on the fund to council, that would be great.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening. Also have Lori Salaz here from our office, who someone you'll be becoming more familiar with as things go forward here. She's been managing all of our bond programs for about the last 4 or 5 years and is now the president of the Energy Specialty Improvement District, the ESID, and will be managing this loan fund going forward. It's an idea we had that the people in Toledo and Columbus have been doing for a while. We issue bonds for large energy efficiency projects, everything from about $2.5 million up to maybe $7 million, and have had a lot of success with that, but we haven't had a way to do smaller projects. So we put about $1.8 million into this fund a few years ago when we sold the air dock, and we'd like to get it to $3 million for it to really work well. And we've been working with the administration to do a couple $100,000 a year, up to. I think this is going to be the third installment. We've made one loan, $370,000, and we were kind of a victim of the rise in rates. But we do think maybe rates are beginning to come back down. This thing will be fired up again. So other than that, I don't really have any more to add unless there's some questions.
Chris, is the PACE district now fully implemented? I know we struggled to find a few projects here and there.
Yeah.
Except for the residential.
Residential's gone. We're not pursuing that anymore. The states that have tried that have been largely unsuccessful. I think we're up to 24 communities. 22.
Okay.
The other ones have just opted not to be part of it.
Okay.
And maybe as we do smaller projects, smaller communities like Silver Lake or Monroe Falls might come in. But it's focused on commercial. And if you don't have a lot of commercial, then maybe there's not a reason to be in the ACID.
Any questions for Chris? Nope. Do I have a motion? A motion from Mr. Wilhite on 2024-312. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Planning and Economic Development will close at 4:53.
And Public Safety Committee will come to order at 4:53. Our first item is 2024-313, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute any documents necessary to accept an award from the United States Department of Justice of a Bureau of Justice Assistant Fiscal Year 2024 Burn Discretionary Community Project Grant totaling $963,000, and to further enter into sub-grant agreements with various political subdivisions as described in Exhibit A, located in Council Districts 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8, to reimburse subdivisions for the purchase of 14 police vehicles in a total amount not to exceed $597,450 for the executive and sheriff, and declaring an emergency.
Good evening, everyone. Bill Holland from the Sheriff's Office. So our Sheriff's Office is serving as the fiscal agent for these funds. It was a non-compete grant for vehicles, and we are receiving vehicles along with 12 other municipalities. We'll be receiving vehicles as well. $42,675 per vehicle. It's to go towards the vehicle. If they want to however they want to upfit those, that's going to come out of their budget, but this is just for the vehicle. No match or anything. It's a good program. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I'll move.
Right. Motion by Councilwoman Walters. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam, go ahead. Finish.
All right, the ayes have it. Mr. Nelson?
I was just going to add in, next week legislation will be coming because of these federal awards with the size of the purchase the sheriff's office has to make. We are going to have to go out for formal competitive bidding. So we'll be back with a piece that authorizes competitive bidding next week for those. I would also add Congresswoman Sykes really championed this grant award for the Sheriff's Office, so much thanks to her.
All right, I think we passed that, so we'll go to the next one. 2024-314, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a purchase contract with Avertest LLC, DBA Aver Health, for on-site drug screen testing services from 12/15/24 through 12/14/25, with 3 options to renew for an additional 1-year term in an amount not to exceed $215,820 for the Court of Common Pleas General Division, Adult Probation Department, declaring an emergency.
Good afternoon, Ken Tillis, Common Pleas Court. We did a request for proposals for drug testing, and Aversis was the preferred vendor. It is a tiered pricing depending on volume of testing that we get. They will provide 2 staff members on site to conduct the test, which will also include some weekends so that we can get more randomized testing. We've not had the ability to do fully random because everyone knows we can't do testing on weekends. So this will include that. We also will extend the opportunity for this testing to any of the other agencies or courts in the county that want to have testing done through them, because that helps our volume. So the funding is from our probation services fund, which are fees paid by the probationers. Also, our specialized dockets would contribute from their grants for anyone who the specialized dockets refer to the testing. This is the first time we've had on-site testing, so it's something we're looking forward to. It took a lot of planning to get, and we're hoping to start December 16th, which is a Monday. Glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Wilhite? Are there other questions? Okay, if there are no questions, do I have a motion? Motion by Councilman Ford. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. And with that, I'll close Public Safety at 4:57 and open the Rules Committee at 4:57. Our first item is 2024-315, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of professional service agreements with Retzel and Andrus LPA in an amount not to exceed $125,000 toward the costs of legal representation and services on behalf of the county in the matter of Antonio Williamson versus Sheriff Candy Fathery et al. For the executive and the sheriff, and declaring an emergency.
I'll speak to that. Brian Harnack, Executive's Department of Law and Risk Management. This is basically a continuation of legal defense in this Antonio Williamson case. It's in federal court, multiple defendants, multiple counts. It's a pretty complex piece of litigation. We're going into a very intensive part of discovery in this case, and required to renew and up the amount for the cost of defense. Any questions?
Are there any questions on this one? Okay, if there are no questions, do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Schmidt. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Harnack. 2024-316, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a settlement agreement in an amount not to exceed $150,000 to settle all claims arising out of or concerning issues raised in a labor employment arbitration and appeal to the Common Pleas Court, captioned Summit County Sheriff versus Michael Taylor et al. For the executive, the prosecutor, and the sheriff, and declaring an emergency.
Brian Harnack again, Executive's Department of Law and Risk Management. This arises out of an award under a labor appeal, the former sheriff's deputy. Unfortunately, the county did not prevail in this. It is under an appeal at this moment, and it was the belief that this case better be settled in terms of a lump sum of $150,000 rather than returning the deputy to his former position. So we, the sheriffs, the prosecutors, are recommending this settlement at this time in the form of a lump sum. And it would include the termination of that former deputy's employment.
Any questions on this one? Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Hyam. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Harnack. Next item is 2024-270, and first, this is on the table, so we'll need, if someone wants to make a motion to move this item off of the table for discussion. Okay. Motion by Councilman Schmidt. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. And then we have an amendment to this one. So if someone would like to make a motion to amend the language to what we have on the purple sheet. Okay. Motion by Councilwoman Hyam. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the item is amended. So this is 2024-270, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute an agreement and any other necessary related documents with the Akron Community Foundation in order to establish a... read the amended one. Okay, that makes sense. Do I read the entire thing? Just the heading. Okay, got it. It's pretty cool. An amended resolution authorizing the executive to execute articles of incorporation, a code of regulations, and any other necessary related documents with the Akron Community Foundation in order to establish a supporting organization that will be known as the Summit Health and Safety Innovation Fund to support the health and safety of county residents, and authorizing the executive to execute a gift agreement with the ACF and the Summit Health and Safety Innovation Fund for the contribution of an amount not to exceed $45 million of opioid settlement dollars to the Summit Health and Safety Innovation Fund for the executive and declaring an emergency.
All right, I'll start with addressing the amendment itself. The amendment really addresses three things, two of which I would say are extremely substantive. The first thing the amendment does is identify those agreements for which the executive is seeking permission to enter into, which are the Articles of Incorporation, the Code of Regulations, and then a gift agreement. Now, the gift agreement piece adds another, what I would call substantive piece to what we need to address. The gift agreement is actually a three-party execution. The original version of the legislation authorized entering into agreements with Akron Community Foundation. The Summit Health and Safety Innovation Fund, once it's formally established and has board members and is a fund, will also be a party to the gift agreement. So that adding them as a party that the executive's authorized to enter into an agreement to is necessary. And then lastly, as we began discussing, Council a couple weeks ago approved a resolution authorizing grant agreements out of opioid settlement dollars with related to the school districts and counselors in the school districts. We also met on Friday with Councilman Ford to talk about another initiative that we are working together to try to bring forward, which will contribute additional money. And then there are some other pending out of the money we keep on hand discussions that are going on. The bottom line is, as I look at all that, there won't be $70 million. And so along the way, we've had questions about, well, what does this mean? The committing 45, but authority to do 70. So just striking the 70 out makes sense because, first of all, there won't be 70. And really what we're seeking the authority to do is commit to the 45 with the supporting organization. Additionally, we've amended Exhibit A to address much more substantively a lot of the questions that Council has brought to us since we last addressed this in committee, and provided additionally financial exhibits, next steps, and so with that, I'm happy to answer questions. I don't know that I have any questions sitting on my plate at this point that still remain unanswered, but certainly happy to answer questions, thoughts, anything else council wants to discuss?
Not urgent, but I think the other thing that's really incredible about getting to this point is also how much work we've already done. And at some point before the end of the year, you just have like a bullet list of, all the beds we've invested in, the counselors in schools. It'd be really helpful in addition to this, just to be able to share with constituents all the great work.
We keep that on a dashboard, Councilwoman, and I'm happy to send that to Mark to send to everyone. So it's a live dashboard. I don't know that it's been updated with, it hasn't. David said it.
Amazing.
So it should be fully up to date, and so you can check it anytime.
Great. Thank you so much.
Are there other questions on this one? Okay, do I have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Hyam. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Brian. With that, I'll call Rules Committee to a close at 5:06.
With that, I'll open Health and Human Services at 5:07. First up is 2024-317, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a master services agreement with Effective Services to act as a broker for translation and interpreter services for non-English speaking clients for the period of 1/1/25 to 12/31/27, with two options to renew for an additional one-year term, and approving the pricing list for said services for the executive and declaring an emergency.
Good afternoon. My name is Corey Kendrick. I'm with Summit County Public Health. Summit County Public Health serves as the support staff for the Social Services Advisory Board, a quality of life project, which has put this project together. This is a renewal, but it's the second RFP we put out. So the first 5 years completed, and just before COVID, we were looking with all the social services agencies, all levy-funded agencies, and all the big spend we have in translation services here in Summit County, and how can we pool our resources together to lower our costs for everyone. So we did that. Effective was the winner of the first RFP. We put the RFP back out after it's going to expire at the end of this year. We had 4 applications. Effective came in as the lowest and most responsible bidder, again, providing more languages, more core languages, and believe it or not, a 20% average lower cost if we have the same spend as the first 5 years. So I'd be happy to have take any questions. This is a master services contract, so any of the government agencies in Summit County or nonprofits can add on to this master service agreement. So essentially what would happen is if the agency wants to join on, they would just have a separate contract with Effective. They'd get their own billing, and all the administrative pieces are taken care of. However, they get the benefit of the master services pricing.
Great. Corey, just out of curiosity, how many, or do we know, how many different languages we see on a regular basis? I'd be curious to know.
Well, we have a top 20. I don't have that list off the top of my head, but we have a top 20 languages that we kind of put in the RFP that made sure that they have a core pricing for, and then we have 70 others they provide. So there's about 90 languages they provide, including ASL.
Okay. And if an agency is looking for this kind of assistance, or any business or anybody, how do they get in touch with, contact you at?
They can contact me, yeah, Corey Kendrick, and I can provide contact information for that,
Okay,
yes.
great, thank you.
We'll connect them with Effective, and then that team will go from there, working on setting up, verifying with us eligibility, and then setting up the contract.
Great, thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Joe, go ahead.
Is this for in-person or telephone services, or what kind of interpretive services?
For all, they can provide in-person, video, telephone. They do document translation. They have a whole plethora of services they provide, and it just pricing ranges on. There's a whole service menu, a la carte, of sort of the master service agreement on the price range for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Joe, one last question. Would this be something that you would promote out to, for example, Summit County Mayors Association, Township Trustees Association, those folks who have constituents contacting their offices that might have a language barrier?
Yes, we did put out some notifications and sort of interest, again, for this renewal, so we'd have a better idea of what our volume might be, if it's going to increase, to try to get lower pricing. We did put it out to public safety and other of our community partners. So we did get a little bit of feedback, but once this is completed again and our new year starts, we'll make another push just to let everyone know it's available and get as much participation as we can.
Great, thank you.
We have a variety of nonprofits that are on board right now.
Great, thank you. May we have a motion? Ms. Walters moves on 2024-317. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next up is 2024-318, a resolution confirming the award of a professional service contract with Effective Services LLC for translation and interpreter services for non-English speaking clients for the period of 1/1/25 to 12/31/27 in an amount not to exceed $450,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and declaring an emergency.
Good evening. Tom Jobert, Executive's Department of Job and Family Services. Good timing. This is exactly what we were just talking about. Job and Family Services is going to enter a 3-year agreement to keep in line with the county's master agreement for effective services for our translation for our case managers.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Any questions from members of the committee?
So moved.
Ms. Walters moves on 2024-318. All those in favor? Signify. Opposed? The ayes have it. Next up, we have 2024-319, a resolution authorizing the executive to execute a 2-year intergovernmental agreement on behalf of the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services with various county entities for the continued operation and management by Summit County Combined General Health District doing business as Summit County Public Health of the Summit 2030 Quality of Life Project for the period 1/1/25 through 12/31/26 in an amount not to exceed $260,000, of which the county share will be an amount not to exceed $65,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and declaring an emergency. Tom.
So this is, I'm going to ask my friends from Public Health to come up and speak in just a moment, but this is the county share, authorizing the county share of $65,000 over the course of 2 years to this program. This is, we've been doing this for many, many years, and the amount hasn't changed on our contribution part, but.
Okay, great. Corey, did you want to?
Corey Kendrick, Summit County Public Health again. So this is based off legislation that was introduced in 1991 with the Health and Human Services, SSAB. And essentially, we serve as a support staff for the Social Service Advisory Board. So this is a portion of that. The Developmental Disabilities Board, ADM Board, and Children's Services all contribute a portion. We facilitate and coordinate meetings for Health and Human Services, the Executive Committee, Budget and Levy Committee, and the Health and Human Services Committee. We ensure that all of the information is provided, and then I know that gets to you at some point to then vote on the budgets for the levy-funded agencies. The Quality of Life Project, just as I kind of had an example of some of the work that we do, the translation services, we coordinate some of the efficiency services across the levy-funded agencies. We'll be releasing, another example, we'll be releasing the Youth Risk Behavior Survey here soon. A small portion of this funding goes towards some of the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. And we also use some of this to provide and buy data for the county so that we provide that back to the levy-funded agencies so we can update quality metrics, indicators, and track progress over time.
Great.
So I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from members of the committee? Members of council? May I have a motion? Mr. Ford moved on 2024-319. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Next up is 2024-320, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a renewal, first of two, a professional service contract with Clarity Solutions Group LLC for automated mail processing services for a 1-year term for the period of 1/1/25 through 12/31/25 at the cooperative purchase pricing in an amount not to exceed $150,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and declaring an emergency.
Tom Jalbert, Job and Family Services. So this is a renewal of our agreement with Clarity Solutions, who is our consultant who designed our mail processing services. These things include such things as virtual printing and automatic mailing for our workers that work from home, designing easier access for clients to submit their documentation, and an automated inbound workflow, which is including we add barcodes to the outgoing mail, so when it comes back in, it's much easier to file away and process. So this amount this year includes the final installment of their implementation fee, plus the estimate for the usage as the year goes on.
Great, thank you, Tom. Any questions from members of the committee? Members of council? May I have a motion? Who was that? Bethany. Ms. McKinney moved on 2024-320. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. And then last up, we have 2024-321, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Adult Guardianship Services of Summit County for the operation of the Volunteer Guardian Program for a one-year term from 1/1/25 through 12/31/25 in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the Executive's Department of Job and Family Services and declaring an emergency.
And this is the agreement with Adult Guardianship Services, who have been managing the Volunteer Guardian Program for the last few years. This is a program that's a collaborative effort with Job and Family Services, the Probate Court, the ADM Board, and the DD Board. Adult Guardianship Services is the fiscal agent and program administrator, and the program recruits and trains guardians to serve as advocates for and surrogate decision makers for indigent wards of the court. We guarantee $50,000 of our Title 20 spending up to this. The agreement is for $100,000 if the funds are available.
Great. Any questions from members of the committee?
I have a question, Jeff. Is this a same like a renewal or an increase?
Yes, it's the same amount we've done in the last couple of years. Yep.
Thanks. I'll move.
Okay. Ms. Walters moves on 2024-321. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And that concludes Health and Human Services Committee. I'll close at, looks like 5:17.
Yeah, we'll open up finance at 5:17. We have 7 items. First up is 2024-322, a resolution approving and adopting the 2025 operating budget for the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board of the County of Summit and appropriating funds as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget and declaring it an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Phil Montgomery for the Executive's Department of Finance and Budget. The answer for this piece is going to be the same for 323 and 324. Council will recall that we separate out the ADM budget and the JFS budget from the total operating budget, so a few members can abstain. This one is the ADM budget, and we've been hosting budget hearings for the last several weeks. We have a few more tonight, and one more set next Monday, and then I'll kind of put a bow on all of it with the Executive's Office and the General Fund, and we'll wrap up from there.
Any questions from committee?
So moved.
Mr. Chair, we usually, on these 3 at this point, we usually make a motion to put on second reading only, so we can, by the time it gets to 3 reading, the last meeting of the year.
Do you want me to finish 23 and 24 first? Or you want them independent?
I would recommend getting a motion
Independent?
for second reading and go ahead. Individually.
Individually, okay. Can I have a motion to?
So moved.
Who's that?
Me.
I can't see around the corner. There's no corner here. Ms. Walters moves on 2024-322. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2024-323, a resolution approving and adopting the 2025 operating budget for all funds, departments, and agency of Summit County, the County of Summit, and appropriations funds as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget, declaring it an emergency.
Same thing, we would just ask for second reading.
Okay, I would move for this to go to a second reading. All right, Ms. Haya moves on 2024-323. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2024-324, a resolution approving and adopting the 2025 operating budget for the Executive Department of Job and Family Services and appropriating funds as set forth in Exhibit A for the Executive Department of Finance and Budget, declaring an emergency. Ms. Hyam moves on 2024-324. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is 2024-325, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Clark Telecommunications, Inc. as best practical source for software assurance coverage for a 5-year term from 5/28/25 to 5/27/30 in an amount not to exceed $295,400 for the Office of Information Technology and declaring an emergency.
Stephen Byrne, Office of Information Technology. So this is, just as the description is, this is software assurance for our phone system. Essentially, it just makes sure we get access to all the updates and all the software patches that they have.
Committee questions? Council questions? Ms. Walters moves on 2024-325. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 2024-326, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of professional service contract with the Darla Project, Inc., DBA, the redesign group under the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance for the storage as a service for a 3-year term and an amount not to exceed $225,000 for the Office of Information Technology and declaring an emergency.
Stephen Byrne again. So this is our current short-term storage device is going to be reaching end of life next year, so this is a replacement for that. It's been in play for about 7 years now.
Committee or council questions? Ms. Hyam moves on 2024-326. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 2024-327, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with Teletronics Services, Inc., TTX, for scale services hardware and licensing in an amount not to exceed $197,293.86 for the Office of Information Technology and declaring it an emergency.
So this is a kind of similar to our previous reading there. This is a replacement of our production environment, a small portion of our production environment. Essentially, we're trying to get on an incremental plan over a 5-year period to replace essentially the entire set. The current piece is about 9 years old. We went out to bid with this one. We had 5 inquiries and only 2 bids.
Questions, council, committee? Okay, Ms. Walters moves on 2024-327. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Last item is 2024-328, a resolution confirming the award by the Board of Control of a professional service contract with UKG Coronis Systems, LLC, as best practical source for the Coronis Telestaff module for a 3-year term in an amount not to exceed $80,000 for the Executive Department of Human Resources and the Office of Information Technology and declaring it an emergency.
So this is an additional module onto the Kronos system. Essentially, this will help with the Sheriff's Office in their scheduling. They have a pretty complex set of rules that they go through for all of their, how they do their scheduling. I believe it's mostly a manual process at this time, and this will help to come in and automate all of that.
Questions, council, committee? So moved. Okay, Mr. Wilhite moves on 2024-328. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thanks.
Motion carries. We close out finance at 5:23. Ready for budget? Okay. We'll move into the budget hearings. And first up, Court of Appeals, Judge Betty Sutton. Thank you for coming, Judge. And Mike Walsh.
Hello. It's my honor to be here with you today on behalf of the 9th District Court of Appeals. I am the administrative judge currently, and I'm here to present first a little update of what's been going on at the court and all the good work that we're doing over there, and then we'll get into the numbers and our request. According to the statistics that the Ohio Supreme Court keeps, the 9th District had the highest number of new cases filed per judge in the last calendar year. In 14 out of the last 15 years, the 9th District has had the highest or second highest number of cases filed per judge. And in the year that we weren't first or second, we were third. So it's a busy court. The court held in-person oral arguments in Summit County and in the 3 other counties, which are in the district, which I know you all are aware of, Lorain and Medina and Wayne counties. And all of those arguments are videotaped and are available on the court's YouTube channel. I don't know if any of you have gone, I'm just going to take a poll. Has anyone looked at the Court of Appeals? Okay. All right. So you account for some of the statistics. So the video recordings are made on a retired iPad, so there's no ongoing cost for recording or producing the videos, and I think it's a great step that the court has led the way in to make sure that we're transparent and people can see what their tax dollars are doing at work. The 9th District continues to record those oral arguments and make them available. We will mark our 10th anniversary of posting our videos on YouTube in January of 2025. And since we started our YouTube channel in January of 2015, we've posted almost 2,100 videos. Almost 104,000 viewers from around the world have watched our oral arguments, and those viewers have spent over 9,800 hours, or the equivalent of about 408 consecutive days watching oral arguments. People are still watching the videos, and the numbers went up this year. So far in 2024, 14,500 viewers have watched them, and they've spent almost 1,200 hours watching oral arguments, which are both increases over last year. It's very interesting to me. You might be interested in knowing the top 5 countries that watch the videos. Of course, the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, India, and Italy, which Judge Teodosio used to claim was his influence, I know. And we don't track by Barberton, but I think, Councilwoman McKinney, if we did, we'd see a little bubble there too. For many years, the court has provided ways that the public, including the judges and attorneys, can subscribe to receive that court information. These include X, which of course is formerly Twitter, the court's YouTube channel, and our email notification service. We now share that information with over 1,100 subscribers every week. And these are all free services that are available at no cost to the court, the counties, or the subscribers. One other thing that I want to really draw your attention to is in the last 20 years, the court has made more than 50 visits to high schools and colleges in the 9th District. The court's visited 3 schools so far in 2024. We're going to be headed to Talmadge High School next month, and we have plans for more school visits in 2025. And I would just encourage you to contact us if any of you have folks in your districts that would maybe want to have a visit of the Court of Appeals to actually hear cases at their facility. We also have visitors to the court. We have law students as well as high school students, and just last month a dozen of high school students from Junior Leadership Hudson came to see the court. And we welcome those opportunities because I think it's important for people to have an understanding of what the Court of Appeals actually does and does not do. So here's the best news of the presentation. The budget that we are presenting reflects no increase from last year's budget. In 2021, we transitioned our court security officer from a contract that was paid for through this budget to our Supreme Court salary budget, which is why the budget actually decreased from 21 to 22, should you be wondering about that. And our budget has remained at the same level since then. We have 5 line items in our budget. I believe you have this information. Contract services at $26,000, internal service charges $14,000, supplies $26,400, travel and expenses at $12,300, and other expenses at $28,000, totaling $106,700. Now, these are our annual contracts, just to give you an idea. They include Westlaw, copier maintenance, internet, carpet cleaning, panic alarm monitoring, sheriff's office backup, for our security officer who occasionally, if he's out, we have to get somebody from the sheriff's office to replace him. Liability insurance for our administrative attorney as well as our mediator and our administrator, who was mentioned when I was introduced as being here also. He's here in case you have any questions. Okay. Each county, the good news is, in the 9th District, is responsible for a proportional share of the operating costs based on the total population in the county as of the last census, and that means each county is responsible for the following percentages of the total operating and rent expenses. Summit County, which is the biggest part of the 9th District, will be responsible for 47%, while Lorraine is responsible for 27%, Medina for 16%, and Wayne County for 10%. So, let me just see if I got another page. I guess that is the only information that I have, but we are really happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, Council?
Thank you. Thank you very much for your service also.
Okay, next up is Children's Services Board, Cassandra Holtzman and Darren Kearns, I believe. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to start by thanking you all for your support as we ran this last levy. We were very excited to find out what the results were. Received a lot of positive feedback from voters at the polls, giving us thumbs up, saying keep up the good work. So I wanted to take a minute before we jumped in here to thank you all for your support. Also, just to give you a quick overview, Darren's going to give you the details. Our Chief Financial Officer, as you know, you've seen him many times here. So he's going to give you the details around that. What we're seeing, though, I think this is no surprise to you. We've had discussions with you before about the rising placement costs. So Darren's going to talk a little bit about that, but it has really been exponential. So we had to come back, as you'll recall, for an amendment previously, not this year, but the last year. So we're hoping that we got it, we've nailed it this time, but those costs continue to go up, and we're continuing to try to find ways to collaborate with our other levy agencies as well as the schools, hospitals, in order to try to get our hands around those. Darren's going to talk a little bit about, maybe you can mention a little bit about a 3-year contract agreements that we reached with our service providers, and this was for us to be able to control those costs a little bit. So we know that they're going to continue to go up, but what we did was decide to take a proactive role there and just say, let's negotiate in advance so that we know what those increases are going to be so we could try to bring those down a little bit. So I'll turn this over to Darren, and then we'll answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Darren Kearns, Summit County Children's Services, and I am CFO. Thank you for this opportunity. The budget that you have before you is a 5.1% increase from 24 to 25, which equates to $3,680,000. Most of those additional expenses are going to be in placements and child-related categories, as well as some in payroll and healthcare. Our payroll is based on 350 FTEs, which is a reduction from what we had previously authorized of 365. We are trying to reflect reality as it relates to hiring and retention of staff. Our health insurance has also been adjusted and reflects 350 FTEs. Payroll does include a 3.5% increase based on our collective bargaining agreement. Overtime has increased significantly from $375,000 to $475,000, and that is because of an overflow plan that we've had in place for quite some time in our intake division, as again, we are quite short-staffed in intake. Healthcare, we are including a 13% increase to our healthcare premiums. We have had some issue with our self-insurance fund, with our healthcare surplus running a little bit lower than what we would want. So we are trying to obviously address that through premium increases. We are also charging a small amount for our HSA plan, which we have not done in the past, but we now have a co-insurance for our HSA plans for our single and family plans. In terms of paid placements and those placement costs that Cassandra had mentioned, the budget currently for 2025 is $21.8 million, which is a 10.6% increase over our adjusted 2024 budget. That 10.6% increase is slightly above our 9-year moving average of 8.84%, but our last 4 years we've seen 12.34% increase in paid placements on an annual basis, with the last 2 being about 20% each one of the years, 2023 and 2024. As Cassandra mentioned, we have tried to move proactively to control those costs by negotiating 3-year contracts with our paid placement service providers, and basically negotiating the rates of increase is what we had prior. They came back to us on each annual basis and negotiated individually for increases, and we found that we just could not control the cost that way. So the majority of our paid placement providers are going to get somewhere around a 3 to 5% increase in year 2 and 3, which 2025 is year 2, 2026 is year 3. Some get slightly higher, but we were able to negotiate the majority of them into that 3 to 5% range. So we're hoping that through this process we can control that cost and slow that growth, because it is unsustainable at that rate. Placement mix is certainly contributing to that. I'm sure Cassandra could speak a little bit more about some of the high dollar placements that we've been seeing. One of the examples I could give you is that we have to purchase foster care because we don't have enough licensed homes of our own. So at January 1 of 2024, we had 188 kids in purchased foster care. As of today, we had 279. That purchase foster care runs about 2.5 to 3 times what our agency licensed homes cost. But in order to keep kids from obviously going into residential care and group homes, we prefer obviously purchase foster, which is a much lower level of care, gives obviously the children more freedom, and it costs us a bit less, but still more expensive than our own licensed homes. In terms of some of the expenses that are included in our budget this year, I'll just talk about property-related expenses, and I believe Councilman Wilhite asked me the last time I gave an update if we had any planned major capital projects. And at that point in time, we had some ideas that were bouncing around in our heads, but because we had issue 40 on the ballot, we really didn't want to commit to anything until we had passage, because obviously if it did not pass, then everything got kind of pushed to the side, and we would make do with what we had. So we do have some major capital. We have one major capital project that we are going to move into in 2025. We're going to move into that planning phase. We have what's called the Family Enrichment Center, which is actually in our building right now, very small area, which hosts a large amount of visits. In the summertime, it's not an issue. We have a playground, we have a pavilion, we have picnic tables where kids can get outside with their families. In the wintertime, it becomes much more of an issue because we just don't have the space to host all those visits. So we're really looking at the opportunity to perhaps build a standalone Family Enrichment Center and attach it to our Family Interaction Center, bring the two together, and really bring those staff together as well, provide synergies for the staff, for our security, for families, so that they have one place that they go to instead of two. So that's one of the major capital projects that we'd really like to explore. We're probably going to look at design and engineering in 2025, and then hopefully, if it comes back favorable, really look at a construction project in 2026. We're also looking at building modernization. We had an opportunity to go and tour the new DD building. If you have not, I hope that you might in the future, but we kind of went in and we stole some of the ideas from them. So we would like to do some upgrades to our building in terms of lighting, with dimmable LED lighting instead of fluorescent, new cubicles that have, frosted glass that are allow more natural light to get into the interior of the building, because our building it's almost 30 years old. So it's time for us to start looking at some modernization. So we have some money in there for that, about $250,000, and we've also budgeted about $150,000 for new cubicles. We'll have to be doing that in phases because we have a lot of cubicles in our building. But we'd like to do that in some phases and really start modernizing some of our spaces, including our conference rooms with new technology, new color, new tables, chairs. I mean, everything is really getting quite dated in our building. So bottom line on our budget is that we are projecting a deficit of about $4.9 million for 2025. We will do better than that. Obviously, our budget is worst case scenario. We spend every dollar and we don't get any additional revenue. We would anticipate doing somewhat better than that, but I do believe we will end 2025 in a deficit, probably, I would estimate somewhere around $2 million, somewhere in that range, $2 million, $2.5 million. That would bring us, if we had the projected deficit of $4.9 million, our ending cash balance at the end of 2025 would be in the range of $45 million. And certainly welcome questions, or Cassandra, your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Cassandra, do you guys track the reasons for the children to come into the program? My question specifically goes to: do we know, is there an impact in your population based on families losing their homes? They're in a homeless situation, or there's lack of housing available to the families. Is that something you guys even remotely track?
Two parts. One is we do track all of that. We track all the removals. We have a primary reason, and sometimes there's a secondary. Usually there's a secondary or other reason that we find once we get in to do the investigations. But as far as being homeless, absolutely not. We're going to work with families. We are not going to remove kids because they're homeless. So we are continuously working with families in those scenarios, trying to find family support to be able to wrap around that family. But that would, in essence, be removal due to poverty. So we don't do that. Now, if there is a situation where the family says, hey, can you take temporary custody? If they want us to voluntarily step in, then we will do that at that point in time to give them an opportunity to get stabilized and then return the children back to their care. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Christine.
My question was, when you talk about the foster care purchase, so does that stay in Summit County if you had to, is that you can't find, like a facility that you're putting the children in, or is that outside of Summit County?
So I anticipated that question might come up, because when you say purchase foster care, first I want to clarify, we purchase all of our foster care. So what we have is what's referred to as traditional foster families. Those are families the Summit County Children's Services has recruited and has licensed. So we recommend for license, that is, to the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio then licenses them. So at one point in time, just a little fun fact, or not so fun fact, we had between 500 and 600 Summit County foster homes probably 10, 12 years ago. And I would say that what I've been told is it was a thing of stature in the community. The people thought that was very important. So now we have 140, ranges between 135 and 140. We hold that number pretty well because while children are being adopted, some of those homes don't want to continue to foster, but at the same time we're recruiting. So that's good news that we're able to maintain that number. The purchased foster homes that Darren is referring to are homes that so there's organizations who also have foster families, so they're regular families that work for various organizations, say, in CCHO, the Children's Christian Home of Ohio, is based in Worcester. They license, or they recommend to the state licensing for various family foster homes. So they're the same as ours, they're just under a commercial umbrella. So when we contract, we're contracting with the Children's Christian Home of Ohio. They then take on the liability as well as all of making sure that they're properly licensed, that they're kept up to speed. Now, we obviously can go in and investigate if there are issues with our kids, but that's what purchased foster home. Then we moved to group homes and residential, which is a higher end sort of institutional type placements. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to commend your staff. I've been to a number of presentations where they've been out there recruiting for foster homes, and everyone's a nice
piece that I was not aware of and I did learn about recently was the respite foster, where it's not a full commitment to fostering,
Yeah.
it's to help give foster families that respite time to take a child just for a long weekend or for a small period of time to give that family time. So I thought that was another way that people can try to give back if they can't make the full commitment to foster care.
Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. We do have a lot of really dedicated families out there that are helping us, and our staff has been working hard to do that. The respite, for me, allows you to sort of dip your toe in the water and say, okay, what do I think about this? And, we try to tell families, you get to say, what age of child you want to deal with, how many kids you want to deal with. You want to take the challenge on of a teenager. We all know, any of us who've been parents know that can be difficult in normal circumstances. So, but we've had a lot of good recruitment going on. The churches have helped a lot. Love Akron's been all over this and bringing in their partners. So it's really been a great experience, and we're hoping that's what probably is enabling us to keep that number pretty stable. We're not seeing them beating down the doors, but they are coming in, inquiring on a regular basis. So I appreciate that feedback. Any other questions?
So I guess I'm wondering, since it's a pretty dramatic decline from 500 to
It is.
less than 2, is that a nationwide trend, or is that a local problem, or what are we dealing with as far as that trend?
It's a nationwide trend. We are seeing this, and it's specifically, I can speak more to across the state of Ohio, just having worked in a couple of other counties, and then I also work with my colleagues and fellow directors. But it is going on across the nation. We are reading articles and studies. What can we do? A lot of this was really exacerbated by the pandemic, too. People didn't want anyone else in their home. It made matters even worse. But I do think there's, this is just my opinion, I do think there's just more, the children they have more behavioral health needs. They have higher end needs, and I think that's one of the issues there. And another part of that is, I think it's just how our society is changing. I don't know if it's, everything being done electronically or what that is, but there's kind of a disconnect for people. And I don't want to overgeneralize, but I think that's what we're seeing. So those are just a couple of the reasons maybe that we're seeing that decline across the nation.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you so much, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you all for what you do. I appreciate it.
Next up, information technology. Stephen, you're back up.
Hi, good evening. So just real quickly on the IT budget side, so obviously with our budget, most of our line items are in contract services there. So in the handout, I kind of gave an idea of what all the shared contracts that we deal with. Mostly from that, you'll see a reduction in about 1.26 million. That has to do with, if we remember last year, we had some enterprise applications that we were transitioning to, so we had to hold multiple contracts, specifically with Kronos, with Banner, as we got off those systems. And those contracts have fallen off, so that's why you're seeing a very big reduction on the contract services side. Outside of that, you're not going to see a whole lot else. It's in here that's, I guess, to talk about. The capital expenditures, pretty low for us as well. All we're looking to do on that side, we have our long-term storage. Tonight we approved the short-term storage. We have long-term storage that's going to reach end of life next year, so that's one of them. And we're also looking to do centralized UPS unit within the Ohio building. Right now, they're all sitting in each individual closets. We want to centralize that, and there's electrical work that goes in with that. So that's it as far as the, I would say, from the capital expenditure side. And as Chip had mentioned earlier, we are looking for a project manager, a director of project management. We deal with roughly 230 projects for our guys. So my other directors kind of bear that load. So they spend a lot of their time dealing with the communication, the scheduling. So they don't get to do the strategic things that they really should be into. So having a director in here will hopefully offload that into there and allow them to work a little better on their specialties. Outside of that, happy to answer any other questions.
Good, Jeff.
Not a question, but a compliment, Stephen. Thank you for the great work you and your team do.
Thanks.
There's never a time when something comes up, especially for the least technical person in this room, that you guys can't solve, and you do it really, really well. And that goes across the board. So thank you for your great service.
Awesome, thanks. I will say it's a team effort. I stand up here quite often and talk to you, but it's everybody I have on my team. They make it happen.
Stephen, were you around when the initial transfer went, like, Fiscals, they had their IT department.
Yes.
The other offices. You've been there since that?
Yes, I have.
That was around 2011, if I remember right.
So consolidation was 2014, yep.
I thought it was introduced somewhere around 11 or 12.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
You guys do a good job. Thanks.
Thank you. Yep. Okay.
I just have a question.
Yes, sir.
I always think about exposure when I think about IT.
Yeah, me too.
I know we have a lot of security measures here. Are you guys members of InfraGard, the FBI's program on cybersecurity?
So without giving too much into it, they provide information to some of the vendors and products that we use. So they essentially is one of those services that'll tell you from an outside, hey, these are things that are going on that we can see from your environment, and it's a report back to us. And we take those into consideration on all the projects and stuff we work in. But don't want to go too deep into what they tell us. But
Fair
yes,
enough.
yeah.
I have a question about the training as well.
Yeah.
So we have a training. I think the training covers all of our charter agencies. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The non-charter agencies, the courts and those things, aren't covered by the trainings. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. They're still under our insurance umbrella, though. Is that correct for our IT insurance of cyber?
They're separate.
They are separate.
Are they? Is it a separate policy that we maintain?
No, well, I am not, I don't know the answer to that question, Short. I don't know if it may still come through our broker and we handle it, but it's different. I know that they don't have the same coverage that we do.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That I do know. And yeah, I'm the same. I don't know if it's the same broker or not.
But I think it might come through our broker. We might.
Yep.
Still comes through our office for approval.
No, I will say, maybe to get ahead of your question a little bit, have been reached out to a couple of the IT administrators from the courts, and they're looking at the Know Before product, and we've got them hold of our rep, and we'll help them through that process if they're looking to do that.
How screwed are we if they screw it up?
Listen, all of it's connected in some way, shape, or form. The only way to have true security is to unplug it, to be quite honest. Listen, both sides of it understand that there is some communication channels that have to happen. We keep a very close eye, as much as they keep a close eye on anything that goes back and forth. There isn't a whole lot between the courts that go back and forth, that I will say, but certainly is, again, you're in a connected world. It does not matter where you are. If you can get into a network, you might be able to find a jump to another. So we're conscious of that, and we have products in place to hopefully ring that alarm if it happens.
So when the charter amendment was passed, because there was a charter amendment that consolidated the IT, it couldn't include the courts or children's services. So they by association could get help from Stephen, but it's by association. So the county can't mandate, the council can't mandate. You get to do their budget, but pretty much the other stuff. So I think Stephen has done a great job. In the other IT individuals, the leaders have always reached out, but it's more by association. The charter amendment was it was mandatory. The fiscal office can't have their own IT person, or the executive's office, or the prosecutor's office, for that matter. But the other offices, they have different server. I mean, they have different email addresses.
Sure. Yep.
So that's always a confusing thing too. We always get
Yep.
calls, and I'm like, yeah, that's just the way it is.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Thanks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Last up, engineer. I just saw Al Brubaker walk in, I think. And Heidi Swindell. You got it? Oh, okay. I didn't have your name down here.
She introduced me last year. Now I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Aquila Hollinger, Engineer's Office. I'm just going to highlight some changes within our budget first. Staffing, we have not added any staff. Instead, we have shifted around positions with what currently exists. Our operating budget total is up 5% overall due to COLAs and benefits. Within our administration area, as shown on page 5, there is an increase on our supplies line due to us paying for our own software. This was previously handled by OIT, so in turn, this does reduce our internal services line. We have an increase to our utilities line due to increased utility rates. And lastly, in administration, travel costs increased across the board. Within our public services and maintenance area, increases due to inventory costs such as fleet maintenance, part cost, material costs such as limestone and culvert pipe, all have increased. And as Heidi mentioned before regarding the salt, good news is, as you'll see on page 9, materials are down 6%, and that is due to our salt reduction. We are down in 2024, and the bins are full. There's no danger of us not having enough salt this winter season, of course. And lastly, fuel costs are also stable. Within the engineering area, contract services decreased, but engineering budget increased 3%, and that is due to salaries and benefits. We don't expect to spend the full amount on salaries. However, we are struggling to hire entry-level employees for technical positions. Otherwise, there's no other changes within that area. Special funds, 2024 is the last year of collecting within the Bath Township Fund. It has moved to countywide. We are spending down this fund on Bath Township specific stormwater projects. Assess subdivision District 1 and 2 citizens pay a stormwater fee that is used for upkeep and maintenance inspections, and we appropriate the funds into the ditch maintenance and use it for inspections, maintenance, and construction on assessed subdivision stormwater facilities. And the community rotary funds, there's no change within this area. This fund is entirely funded by developers, and developers put down deposits into the fund, and the fund decreases when we go out and do the inspections and reviews for subdivisions. There's no county funds commingle into this account. And lastly, the Surface Water Management District in 2025 will be the first year we are taking in revenue. Over $3 million anticipated to come into next year. The budget before you is just the operating budget for stormwater, and we have a contract with Summit Soil and Water Conservation District to help us oversee the EPA mandated MS4 program, chargeback costs to the engineer's office for staff time overseeing stormwater only projects, contracts with the health department for testing water quality, and a very small portion of salary. ARPA funds for major stormwater projects will be shown in the Stormwater Management District capital budget. And I'm open for any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Heidi next.
Thank you. I can appreciate the challenge it is to, keep up with all the roads and bridges with, repairs and replacements, keeping ahead of how fast they can deteriorate over time.
Yes.
I see that the goal is to replace 5 bridges a year, and how are we doing with that?
That's part of Heidi's presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Any more questions about expenses first? Yes.
Right. It's still the same amount. It's just shifted over to our supplies line versus before it was in the internal services line. Yeah.
I can hop in on that one too. So it was a philosophy change I made for 2025. So we were essentially, for contracts that were in direct control of an office or an agency, we were essentially double budgeting for it. So IT was budgeting for it in their contract services line, and the departments and offices were budgeting it in their internal services line. And then we were just shuffling the money back and forth. So as I looked at what we were doing, I said, well, why don't we have the departments take ownership of their own contracts for technology services and pay for it directly out of their budget instead of paying it from one, transferring it to another. So OIT is still involved in terms of the OIT directives and helping them spec things out and things like that. And OIT has still got ownership of county-wide contracts, and those will still get charged back But if it was a direct contract solely for the engineer's office or solely for the fiscal office, we shifted the budgeting and administration of that back to the department, just purely for paying for it and keeping track of it.
So OIT is still heavily involved in making sure the security and the software and all the
Yep.
all the behind the scenes stuff that needs to make sure we're protected, it's still involved. So they're authorizing, or they're giving their own blessing to the technology, but they're just paying for it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
So just to bring some doom, I'll try to be quick. I know that I'm last. Just to give you a brief overview of what we're responsible for, we have 360 lane miles of pavement, we have 1,200 culverts, we have 81 signals and 280 bridges, and we are taking care of this on a revenue between $19 million and $20 million a year. If you take a step back, you can see that's just a daunting prospect. We have one bridge that the high-level bridge would cost $60 million to replace. We have a $20 million annual revenue. We have another bridge that needs another bridge built alongside of it to add some extra lanes and sidewalks. That would be $30 million. And of course, bridges are our biggest cost, so you have a revenue report in front of you. This shows you some of our bridge statistics. One thing I would like to point out about it is that at least 120 of our bridges don't qualify for federal funding at all. They're either less than 20 feet long, or they are not on a federally classified roadway. And if that's the case, yes, we are getting grant funded for a lot of our bridges, but there's still a whole lot more that can't qualify at all, and it has to be local dollars. Next page, this is what is in our current capital budget. Go next year plus 5. I gave you 2 numbers there, one with the high-level bridge in it and one without. I am going to use the cost without the high-level bridge because we all know there's no way the county can come up with $60 million in construction for that. So it has to be grant funded somewhere. So this $95 million for the next 6 years is the number that I'm mostly going to be working with to show you the capital gap a little bit later. Capital needs in general, though, I had all the engineers, had our maintenance director sit down and say, okay, if we had, wave a magic wand, we have all the money that we could possibly need, what would we get done with it? And with that, we identified $315 million. Because right now, our capital budget doesn't even anticipate landslides, because there's no grant funding for landslides, and they're so expensive. I mean, millions of dollars for like a couple hundred feet to fix it. So we don't even address that in there. We've got one on Valley View, but we've got about 14 others that eventually we're going to need to take care of them. Let's see. Okay, this number, that $315 million, also includes 58 bridges that are rated 3 to 6 out of a scale of 9. So 9 is the best. That's a brand new bridge. 3, 4, and 5, we want to get those done first. We handed out a map. On the second map in that handout are all the bridges that are rated 6 and under. Those are all over the county, mostly in cities. So the county engineer's office doesn't just work for the townships. We are all over the county. I know we don't do any roads in cities, but we have a lot of bridges. And so our funding affects the whole county. And on the first page of that, you will see the map is bridges over 50 years old. So that every dot on there is a bridge that is over 50. Yeah, the first page are bridges that are over 50 years old. Second page are bridges rated 3 to 6. Thankfully, we don't have any bridges rated 1 or 2 because they would be closed. All right. And what can we do about it? So our operating costs have been cut since the recession. We've cut so much. We went from 135 employees to 99 employees now. We paid off all our debt. Last debt payment was in 2021, so we are debt-free other than the little bit that we pay for our share of the radios. And there's nowhere to go but up again. We have cut almost everything that we can. I mean, we have to fill the potholes. We have to plow the snow. We need enough employees to do that. And they're raising like the prices of all the fleet maintenance costs and the salary increases and the benefit increases. We're going back up now. So the only option we currently have is to just not do capital projects. You can see on the handout why I'm here tonight. We have a license registration fee that people pay. They renew their license plate. They've got a series of fees. Some are the license registration fees. We got county permissive fees and permissive auto fees, and then we're also funded by the gas tax. That license and registration fee is the one that's heading down. It is down 5% since 2020. It's almost like, I'm thinking we started at, oh, I got my numbers. They're too little on here. I can't read them. But it's almost $1 million a year that is just trending downward. And the reason for that is on the next page. There is a IRP commercial truck registration. It's the International Registration Plan. So a national company, you have a fleet of semi-trucks. You register them in your home county. The home county gets a lion's share, but that IRP shares the rest of that revenue with all 48 states and Canada. And it's the biggest amount you pay, and that has dropped a lot in the last couple of years. We've got just an example from April 2023 to April 2024, putting those 2 months next to each other. It is down 47% because one company either downsized their fleet or they started registering their fleet elsewhere. And then we had Yellow Freight close. Exactly. We took another big hit. So we are going to talk to Columbus. We're talking to the state. We're going to see, are these trucks registering in Franklin County now? Where are they going? Because I drive around the county and I see plenty of trucking hubs. There's a lot of spots, and I'm wondering if these trucks are registering in Summit County, or maybe it's cheaper to register in another state even, and they're part of the IRP plan. So we will be doing some research on that. And then our revenue, so I did some forecasting. I pretended like I was Steve Bruno. And from 2025 to 2030, and I'm also counting this year's carryover balance, which, by the way, is our saving grace for next year. We're going to have a very healthy carryover balance. We've got $126 million next year, plus 5 years when we're looking at the capital budget. I estimate our operating cost to be $90 million. Of that, 126. I estimate our capital expenses, if we go with what's in the capital plan right now, not all the bells and whistles, not all the landslides, just what we think is the most important and what we realistically think we can do. That is $95 million. So that is an almost $60 million budget gap. We need to find $60 million in 6 years in order to fulfill our highest priority projects, not even, our wish list of projects. That obviously equates to a $10 million a year gap. And on the last page here, you can see our forecasted capital gap that I was talking about. That's using the $95 million without the high-level bridge numbers. And please note that none of this is adjusted for inflation. Costs are only going to go up.
Heidi, can I ask you a question
Sure.
about specifically the landslide number, but also the bridge statistics? Is any of this modeled for kind of the increasing occurrence of extreme weather events? Or is the landslide number based on what we have currently been dealing with over the last few years, and bridge lifespan based on current patterns, not
Yes.
future patterns.
Yeah, this is all based on current.
Thanks.
And to my knowledge, they haven't changed the 100-year storm calculation either, so it's all, nothing new.
Heidi, do you guys have responsibility for the Y Bridge in Akron, or is that the city?
That is the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My concern is if you rate bridges from, a number to a number and what's the worst. I don't know if any of you have noticed when you drive across that bridge, it is literally rusting away in front of us. And there are sections of that bridge where the bottom panels are rusted away. And there are people that move underneath that bridge. And the concern is one of those panels
Sure.
gets a good gust of wind, it's overboard. And what does that mean in terms of safety for people underneath it? So the question I have is, what, if anything, is available that the city might be able to look at? Because they're going to say they don't have the money to fix that bridge either. But if you're looking at something from a safety standpoint, I got to believe that's got to be high on the list.
There is a municipal bridge program, but that is such an expensive bridge. We might have to be competing with the city of Akron for local major bridge funds against the high-level bridge, so don't give them any ideas. But yeah, history lesson, that was a county bridge.
I've had some constituents that have said, we cleaned up the entrance coming into the city, that's part of my district, cleaned up the city coming into the city from the north, with the Sojourner Truth Plaza and fixing up all the buildings there, but then you look at that bridge, it's right, got all the rust marks on it, but if you're not doing 55 across that bridge, like some of us have done.
Yeah.
No, seriously, there's sections that you look at and you see daylight through the frame. I don't know how it's going to hold up. The whole idea was to put that up there to prevent suicide off of that bridge because it was so high.
Right, with the fencing.
But something's going to have to be done with that because it's just.
And I thank Mr. Paul Swanson every day for handing that bridge off to the city of Akron. Because we would have had that and the high-level bridge at the same time. It'd be rough. Lastly, we get asked for a lot. The cities ask us for a lot. The township asks us for a lot. And we always have to say no. And we don't like saying no. But we have to. We can't build new bridges that look prettier. We can't add lighting. We can't do like the faux arch to make it look pretty. We can't add sidewalks. We have to focus on just the basics. So we are going to have to do something. We're discussing options with the state. We've reached out to other counties to see what their situation is. And I just wanted you guys to be aware because it is very likely I will be back here asking for something sometime in the future. Yes.
And about you covered so much. I appreciate all of it.
Yeah.
For the keeping up with the 5 bridges, how have we done?
Oh, yeah,
recently
the
on
5 bridges. Going back to that. So we've had the bipartisan infrastructure law the past couple of years. We've had that money. So we've been doing a great job, but that money's over. I think we've got one bridge left. So next year, we are doing kind of a regional culvert program. We've got the federally funded Snyder. We're starting to do some smaller bridges with local money. And then the only big one, I believe, is Mount Pleasant. So it'll be 3 bridges next year. And there is just no money anywhere for anything more. Mm-hmm. Sure.
On the, so like just for example, Yellow Freight, things like remember, or they left, I should say, trucking company. So when they were here, they registered those semis in our county, correct?
My understanding is it was a hub for other trucking. Is that right? Because it depends on each company. Yellow Freight may have registered all of everything here, but I don't know that for sure. The only numbers the state gave me was for this KAG leasing, which is in green.
Right, so like a lot of these trucking companies, like they're probably brokering the trucks, so those trucks are owned by somewhere else. And then,
Yeah.
So then, they're just from different states and everything, but they are brokering them and bringing, being able to move the product from all over in Ohio and out and so forth. So that's probably what they're doing is brokering them. They're just using brokers.
Yeah, I imagine. Then you can register them anywhere. It might be hard to even track down where everything's going.
Heidi, one question. What's the revenue minus the carryovers? What's your
Oh,
actual
for next
revenue?
year?
Yeah.
It will be, I didn't bring my actual spreadsheets with me. I should have.
Right, guesstimate.
We, next year, will be about a shade under 20 million is my estimate. I have Al here as well in case anybody wants to talk. And Joe. Joe's not allowed to talk.
That's the best thing she said all night.
Yeah, he does.
So I met with Heidi and Al this week and said, hey, put it all down. The reality is we need to start talking to CCAO, our lobbyists in Columbus, the motor vehicle gas and license tax. It's not growing. The cost, as you've seen on all these projects, has just escalated. It's not going to come down it's just going to continue to go up. They're slipping further and further behind. We have to have a real discussion, and it probably also means asking other counties to put together this same type of analysis, because I don't know, and Heidi, Al, maybe you could correct me, but a few years ago when the state increased the gasoline tax, I don't know that anybody from the state ever reaches out to us to say, well, what do you need? I'm sure they talk to ODOT, but I don't know that they really talk to us about what it's really going to take. And I don't know that the appetite's there to do what it's really going to take, but this is a long-term play to get this discussion going now, because we're just getting further behind.
Well, many of us are going to the CCAO conference, and if you want to equip us, if that's our big ask, from CCAO.
I think it's definitely one of them. I know CCAO also reached out about coming up here in February to meet after a council meeting, and I think we need to get a kind of succinct presentation together to give them on this subject and a few other things that we need to address with them.
Okay.
Jail and mental health funding being, and there's probably many more.
Wow.
And just a note about the gas tax. When they increase that, we don't see much because it isn't based on population size. You get, every single county gets the same rate every month, and that rate is about $330,000. These license fees are the ones that really affect us.
I was just thinking that too, Brian, that's a good idea because even like for the trucks, the trucks are heavier and they put more wear and tear on our roads.
Absolutely.
And, I'll just use Macedonia as an example. You know how many times the road gets shut down because a truck goes under the bridge that has the railroad above? All the time, and we have to deflate. They hit that bridge all the time. There's little things like that, and that's controlled with the railroad is above, and that affects the railroad, it affects everybody. But anyways, it just seems like the state, even if they're not registering some of these in those different counties, but somehow there should be something collected on a regular basis for any trucking company, any trucks traveling all of the roads in the United States.
Permissive toll roads.
We're going to put a toll on the high-level bridge.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That was
I think the reality is we probably need about twice the amount of revenue that we actually get out of all this to sufficiently maintain it. So that's going to be a tough.
Yeah, but if the states issue a new law, you know, mandates them that they have to start paying.
Yeah, well, and here's where, as you guys know, what's going to happen is they're going to end up being forced to close down roads and bridges. We've dealt with that. We're going to have emergency landslides that require us to go chasing money because communities don't have the money to fix roads that, like in the case of Akron Peninsula,
Yep.
may not even be our responsibility, but there is nobody. All of this is going to land in this chambers at some point as they're forced to take these actions. So,
And the thing with landslides is you don't have any grant money for them, really, until it falls down. Like, it has to be an emergency to qualify for that.
And I would caution against any tax increases here, unless it was a statewide, because if we raise it here, then businesses are just gonna go to other counties. We'll lose that revenue as well. So it's gotta be a statewide or national initiative, because if you're local, they can leave. But
Yeah.
statewide, they wanna do business in the state, or if it's national, do business nationally. You gotta watch that. You can't just, can't pull that trigger.
well, and the only authority we have is sales tax requires a vote here in Summit County. Property tax requires a vote. We have no permissive authority to do license or
Those kind of
or
fees.
gasoline tax.
Yeah, the way they're split up and their amounts are set by the state. They have occasionally said, okay, you can put another $5 permissive tax on. I think they did that in like 2018. And then they say, well, why are you complaining? They gave us the authority to be able to put the additional fee on. They didn't actually put the fee on. But the same $5 fee 20 years ago is the same $5 fee right now, and it clearly doesn't buy as much.
Yeah.
All right, you happy? Thanks.
Council members, before we adjourn, I'm going to ask, I traded some emails and had some conversations with Mark about trying to get a meeting together, and at the advice of Mr. Golonsky, it needs to be a publicly advertised meeting, shooting for hopefully next Monday afternoon before council, just to get council up, a refresher, get up to date on all these projects we have going on, the parking deck, what's coming with the Ohio building. There are some economic development, like the polymer stuff, Cascade One. There's just a lot of things that before year end, it would be good to catch up on where a lot of these things are. So you're up to speed about where they are, and some things that will be probably coming in January too, legislatively.
Brian, could we invite Mr. LaCotte to that meeting?
It's a public meeting. Anybody could come. Yeah.
So what are you looking at, about 3 o'clock then, Brian?
I would think two, and I don't know that we'll get through the whole list of stuff. Not noon. But I would say that some of the stuff also we could come back in January, and maybe this is something that we should more routinely do, monthly or quarterly or whatever you guys like, just to make sure we're keeping everybody updated on what's going on, what conversations are happening.
Did you say you're shooting for this next Monday? Okay.
Yeah, because we have a regular Monday, then the following week the double meeting, and that's it for the year. So there's at least one or two pieces of legislation that if they're not in on the second. The other thing, the last couple years on that last meeting on the 9th, we've historically just brought things to wrap up year end as first reading passage so we could clear them off. So any of those things that we're aware of, like the budget appropriations to finish this year, discuss those things as well prior to that last meeting.
It could be anywhere. I think you've had work groups, it could be this room, obviously, but you've had work groups. Did you do one with, where you had like a team building exercise we did at the dispatch center? Yes, thank you, Mr. White.
Yeah, but
so you
they
don't have to have it in a specific place. You just have to notify the public that you're having sort of a work session, and they have to be able to obviously attend that.
Okay, I'll shoot Mark over a proposed agenda. If there are things you guys want to discuss that aren't on that list, get them to Mark so we can make plans to go through them. Okay.